Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juliet. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this trendy shift dress with bell sleeves and a defined waistline. If you're interested, please keep on watching. If this is your first time here, please kindly click on the subscribe button below. First, I have my fabric here. It is I have two fabrics of fold. First one for the back piece and then another fabric again will fold for the front piece. Now the width of this fabric is my biggest measurement, which is my hip measurement divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch for ease and another 2 inches for allowance. So I went ahead to rule a line at the top, which is going to serve as my starting line. And for the length of the dress, I am working with 42 inches and I added extra 2 inches for the folding allowance. So starting up here, I am going to mark half of my shoulder measurement plus half inch, which is 8 inches for me. So shoulder divided by 2, 7.5 plus extra half, making it 8 inches. Then I went ahead to mark the armhole of 8.5 inches down, and I'm ruling out that line as you can see. Next, now I marked my neck width of 2.5 inches, and then on the armhole line I came down by half inch and I connected that back to the neck width in a slant like so. Next, now from that slant I got the middle and I came in by half inch, and then I connected that half inch back to the shoulder using my ruler. Then on this armhole line, I marked quarter of my bust measurement, which is 11 inches. And then using my armhole curve, I went ahead to curve the rest of my armhole. Next, I went ahead to mark the neck depth for the back, which is 1 inch. I remember the neck width was 2.5 inches we already marked. So I went ahead to curve the neckline like so. Next off, I came down by 8 inches for the front neck. And then I connected that back to the neck width in a V like so. Now for the front, this dress is going to have like a plain color fabric in the middle. So for that, I am marking 0.75 all the way to the end of the front piece. We're going to be cutting that out to replace with the black piece of fabric later on. So using my ruler now, I am connecting all the points, 7.5 inches, 0.75 inches, sorry. And then from there, I'm connecting it back to the neckline to form a new one. Next, now from the top, I located my hip line, which is 25 inches. And then I marked that. I also went ahead to mark my actual length, which is 42 inches. So using my ruler now, I'm going to extend the lines, as you can see. And notice that I didn't mark the waistline because I'm not going to be shaping the waist part. So on the hip line, I marked hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease. I marked that, and then I marked another 1.5 for allowance. Because I already marked the bust, I just added extra 1.5 for allowance. Then the measurement I had on the hip, I used the same measurement on the hemline, hip divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease. And then I marked another 1.5 for sewing allowance. Next, I went ahead to mark my underbust point and then my half length point. We are going to be using that measurement to add the elastic at the back later on. So from the bust, I connect straight to the hip line, and then I connect the seam allowances as well, and then from the hip line straight to the hem like so. So this is it for the drafting. Now it's time to cut. So I'm going to first of all cut the back neck and then the shoulder slope, then the armhole, and then I will cut out the sides. So I'm going ahead to notch this under both points and then the half length point as well. So next now I am going to notch the actual length of the dress, and then I will take out one piece which is going to be the back piece, and then we'll go ahead and cut the front neckline on this other piece. So this is it for the front and the back. So for the back piece, this point where we made notches, that's for the under bust and the half length. We are going to connect that into a straight line. So in between this space is about 2.5 inches. So in between that space, we are going to make elastic casings where we'll pass elastics through later on. So you can make as many channels as you want. I made only two, but this can accommodate up to three or even four if they are close together. So I'm just going to go make the channels like so, and then after that we'll join the front and the back together on the shoulder, right sides together at the shoulder. So go sew that using half inch. I went ahead to measure the armhole so that I can get an idea of how wide my bell sleeve can be. So after sewing on the shoulder, this is what we have. I've also gone ahead to add the elastic casings at the back, like I said. Like I mentioned, I can add up to three. That space can accommodate at least three, but I added only two. Next now it's time to add the plain fabric in the front. So I'm arranging the front and the back pieces together like so. The fabric I'm using is chiffon. It's folded into two. So if you open it up, it's 5 inches. Then folding it now gave me 2.5 inches. So the space we have open on the front of this dress now is about 2 inches. So the half is for allowance. So I'm going to place it on the right side like so. From the bottom, sew it all the way to the back neckline and all the way back down. After sewing, this is what we have. So next I am going to push the seam allowances towards the body of the dress, and then I will go back and top stitch on the main fabric, not on the chiffon piece, on the main fabric. After top stitching, this is what we have now. So next I'm going to place it on top of each other. Just place it exactly on top of each other, not on the fabric, just the chiffon parts overlapping on top of each other like so. You just place it carefully, making sure that they are both sitting right on top of each other. So I'm going to use my pins now and hold this in place. I'm going to leave out a space at the top, which is going to be the neckline, about 8 inches, or you can just wear it on your body and note where you want the neckline to stop, and then you stop pinning at that point. On the lower part also, we are going to leave 8 inches opening on the lower part. So pin to where the neckline stops. It's about 8 inches that we left, and then on the lower part you leave about another 8 inches on the lower part. This 8 inches includes the folding allowance. So we're going to go to top stitch on one side, and then on the lower part we can use hemming gum to glue the parts on the lower part together with the upper one, or you can still top stitch on the opposite end. For me, I ended up using hemming gum glue for the down part. I sewed on the top, and then the under part I used hemming gum. After that, this is what we have. This is the opening of the down part, and this is what it looks like on the neck part. Next, now it's time to join it together on the side. So I folded the back piece into two like so. I'm going to go ahead and mark the bust measurement divided by 4 here. Notice I didn't add any allowances to, I didn't add ease allowance to the bust part. On the hip, however, I added 1 inch to quarter of the hip measurement. And then I did the same for the hem, hip divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch. Using my ruler, I connected all the points like so. This is it. And then you can go ahead and mark on this opposite side as well, but I already had markings on the other piece, so it's going to serve the purpose. Placing them back right sides together, now we're going to go sew. I'll sew and stop there, back stitch, continue and stop, leaving that space where the elastic is going to pass open. The same thing for this other side. I will make note of the places where the elastic casing is sitting, and then I will sew and leave that space open. So I'm just using my chalk now to mark the points. So I'll sew, leave the spaces open, and then continue all the way down. After that, this is what we have. I'm going to cut out elastic. The elastic I'm using is quarter of my waist measurement plus extra 1 inch. So my elastic is 10 inches long, and it's the very tiny elastic, about quarter inch, very smallest elastic. So using my safety pin now, I am going to pass the elastic through all the way. I'll just use my pins to hold it on one end so that it doesn't go all in. You need to be careful because that can be very painful. So once I get it all the way to this other end, I'm going to also pin it, take off the elastic, the safety pin, and then pin the elastic to the fabric. Then I will go back and insert the second elastic to the second case. So if you have more than 3 casings, you will do that for all 3 of them. After which you go back, stretch it out, and then close that space. Do the same thing for the other side, and then we can hem the lower part using the 2 inches of allowance that we left. Next, now it's time to cut out the sleeve. So I'm measuring my finished armhole now. I got 10 inches. We are going to fold the sleeve part. So for me now, my sleeve, I folded 15 inches. Ignore the shorter piece on the upper part. My fabric was short, so I had to extend it by adding an extra piece. So for the length, my actual sleeve length is 22 inches, but I marked 26 here because the sleeve should be longer. It looks better like that. So I marked the length. On this end, I came down by 4 inches, and then at the center, I went in by 3 inches. I made a curve to that 3 inches, and then I blended it out like so. Next, I went ahead to measure until I got to 10 inches, and then I made a mark. Then I added extra 1 inch for allowance, and then I'm connecting that point all the way to the length of the sleeve. So this sleeve, the width of the sleeve is 15 inches wide. On fold is 15 inches. So down here I came down by 1 inch, and then I blended to the side, and then it is time to cut. Next, now I am going to place this on my second sleeve piece and cut out the same exact shape. I went ahead to transfer the mark point to the second sleeve, and I'm going to draw that out. We're going to go sew on the lines to join the sleeves together, and we'll also be hemming the lower part much later. So after sewing, this is what I have. Turning it to the right side. Next is time to attach this sleeve to the dress. So here's the dress here now. So the side seam of this dress, I'm going to match it to the side seam of the sleeve like so. Pin that in place, and then the center point of the sleeve, I'm going to match it to the shoulder like this. I'll also pin those points. Then I will go ahead and pin it all the way around, making sure that everything is equal, and then I'll go sew that. We'll repeat the same thing for the second sleeve, after which we hem and our dress is ready. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Please like, share and subscribe.